In a moment, we will begin our learning of Daf Yomi. We are currently an Amud plus ahead. It may be ahead of the daily direction. If you've missed any of the Daf this week, please feel free to connect with the synagogue and to listen to the recording. Okay? As soon as others join in, we will get started. We are about to begin our learning of the Daf. We're working on a schedule of Sunday through Thursday, and therefore today's Daf, which will be ultimately 21a and b, actually covers us all the way till Shabbos. Okay. Okay, we're going to get underway. We're starting on the very last line of Kaf Amud Beis, and in doing so, a quick review. We've seen that the Gemara, Mishnah initially, and then the Gemara, is attempting to review what permitted and what is forbidden in terms of wicks and fuels. And in this case, the Mishnah has listed a number of items, okay, initially, some of which are fibrous material from trees. Others happen to be actual kinds of oils. And towards the end of the Amud, we begin to see that the Gemara is continuing to point this out. Right, and we're starting 3 lines up from the bottom on Kaf Amud Beis. Tana, says the Braita, Ad Kan, up to this point, Psul Ptilot. We've talked about those inappropriate wicks. Mikan Va'elech, Psul Shmanim. At this point, we will talk about those fuels that are inappropriate. Pshita, that seems obvious, says the Gemara. Right? No, says the Gemara. Sha'ava itztarichale was necessary, however, to refer to the unfitness of the wicks, as well as from the unfitness of the oils. Because in regards, for example, to wax, we see here that it was necessary to mention it. Mahu detema. Is it really necessary? What are you trying to tell us? Leptilot nami, namely that wax itself not only is forbidden in terms of a fuel, but also in regards to it being a wick. Lo chazia, it is not suitable. Mashmalan comes to teach us, therefore, that we are informed, okay, just the opposite, that a wax wick on a candle, however, would be permitted. Gemara continues now, Sha'ava, right? Now, about last line. Amar Rami Bar Avin, he says, Itcharna Pesulta Dezifta, namely that we can say that tar is a byproduct, okay, and therefore inappropriate dezifta of pitch. Shava Pesulta Deduvsha, okay, and wax we consider to be a byproduct and therefore inappropriate from honey. So the Gemara asks as we start Kaf Amud Aleph, what's the difference? Lamekach umemkar. The difference is in returns to buying and selling. When one wants to order these items, okay, one would order at the time the main item and then derive the derivative from it afterwards. Okay, Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph as we continue. Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita. Kol Eila She'amru Ein Madlikin Behem B'Shabbat. All of those items that we've indicated that it's not permissible to light or kindle with them on Shabbat. Aval Osim Mehem Medura, except in a situation where one is using it for a bonfire. Right? Bein lehit chamen kenegda, whether to warm oneself against it. Bein lehishtamesh leora, or whether to utilize it to use as a light. Right? In other words, for a lamp. Right? What happens? Says the Gemara. Bein agabe karka, whether it is on the ground, okay, where a medura might be on the ground, or gabe kira, or whether we're talking about in a kind of a stove or lamp. V'lo asru ela la'asot mehem ptila laner bilvad. And the rabbis in this case only forbade their use as a wick in terms of a oil lamp only. Okay. Now we're going to continue with we're on Kaf Aleph, Amud Aleph, about 6 lines down. Okay, where we're clarifying the statements in the Mishnah and indicating more the issue of the, not so much the wicks, but the issue of the fuels. V'lo b'shemen kik v'chule, and not with castor oil. So remember we indicated that many of the terms used in the Mishnah were previously not familiar, particularly to the sages in Babylonia. And as a result, we still continue to find some efforts where the Gemara has to clarify what the phrase was there referred to what it was referring to. Okay? So, velo b'shemen kik, not with castor oil v'chule. Mai shemen kik, what do we mean by this castor oil? Amar Shmuel. So Shmuel she'iltinhu b'chol nechute yama. Okay, we ask this question to all of the seafarers. Va'amruli of echad. They said it was a kind of bird. Yesh bekarche hayam. In the distant reaches of the sea, v'kik shemo. So it's something they said that comes from a certain bird. A different view. Rav Yitzchak, Berei de Rav Yehuda, okay, comes up with another answer. Mashcha tekaza. Okay, it's a kind of oil that comes from almost a cottonseed plant. Okay? Now that would put it more in appropriate to some of the similar examples that the Mishnah had given to us as previous prohibited wicks and fuels. Reish Lakish Amar Kikion Diona. Reish Lakish say it's a kind of specific plant, a castor plant. And we know, by the way, that it's from the kernels of that plant, the seeds, which they grind and ultimately produce castor oil as a kind of medicine. Okay? Now, Amar Rava Bar Bar Chana said, L'didi chazi li kikion diona. Said, I myself saw this kind of plant, okay, this kikion, okay, similar to what was described in the book of Jonah, right? V'litzlu lava, right? And it's similar to Dami, it's similar to a racinus tree. Udemapashke rabe, and it tends to grow in quite an amount, okay, namely in swamps or in ditches, okay? Va'alpum chanuta madlan yate, and they place it by the entrance to the stores, to the shops, so people can sit underneath it for shade. Right? And what happens? Umefar tziduhi, okay, and we say avde mashcha, right? And from its seeds or kernels, okay, we can produce an oil. Uba'anfuhe, and from its leaves, okay, its branches, naichen kol briche de ma'arava. Okay, people in the ma'arava, in Eretz Yisrael, they recline and rest underneath it for that purpose. Now, Gemara says, Amar Rava, says Rava, Ptilot she'amru chachamim, those wicks that the sages were referring to, ein madlikin bahem b'Shabbat, that they say it's prohibited to kindle on Shabbat, right, Erev Shabbat, mepnei sha'or misach sechet bahem. Why? Because as a result of the poor quality of the wick, the flame is going to flicker and sputter, and that will take away from one's oneg Shabbat, since the light is supposed to allow us to benefit and have oneg Shabbat from reading, from social connections, other things like that. Okay, now continuing on a similar vein, shmanim, those fuels, she'amru chachamim ein madlikin behem, where the sages said it was forbidden to light kindle with them, mipnei she'ein nimshachin achar haptila, because they are not drawn, okay, or attached closer than the wick then doesn't sort of absorb them properly. That would be, I would think, more contemporary understanding, to be able to light the wick to give the adequate light. nimshachim achar ptila. Now, what happened? A statement new to the Gemara. Bai mine Abai mi Rava. Abai comes and asks the following question then from Rava. Shmanim she'amru chachamim, ein madlikin bahem b'Shabbat, mahu. These same fuels that the sages said we're not to kindle, not to light them on Shabbat, mahu, what about the following situation? Sheyitain letochan shemen kol shahu v'yadlik. Namely, you take one of these forbidden, prohibited kind of fuels, and you add a positive fuel to it. Olive oil, for example, something like that, all right? And then you light it. Can you use this mixed kind of fuel, right? So, Gemara continues. Mi gazrinan, do we decree? In other words, do we make a decree, a siyag, so to speak, to the Torah? Dilma ate la'adluke ba'enayu, o lo? Do we make a decree and say we prevent people from lighting these mixed fuels, lest people come to light them in their pure state, or not? Now, Rava then answers Abai, Amarle ein madlikin. Okay, a straight statement, we do not kindle with them. Now, problem is this blanket statement has three pshatim. One is that maybe Rava gives the reasoning, as we saw earlier in the Gemara, that since these wicks can't absorb this fuel, and therefore it's unable to light them, that's why we don't light them. Another pshat is this is simply a decree. We've made this decree. These fuels are not viable, are not usable. And a third pshat may be, again, that the wick itself is not strong enough, okay, to draw a mixed, right, to absorb a mixed fuel in order to burn whatsoever. Okay? So that's the point. My tama, what's the reasoning? Lafi she'ein madlikin. It says simply because they're not lightable. They're not able to be kindled to produce light. Now, our Gemara wants to proceed and raise another challenge. Tive. How about I challenge this? And this could be Abaye raising the challenge to Rava. Say the following. Karach davar shemadlikin bo. We wrap, let's say, a wick or something that is burnable, right, around davar shemadlikin bo, al gav davar she'ein madlikin bo, around something that is not able to be burned, right? Ein madlikin bo. We say that we cannot light it. Now, Abaye, if he wants to challenge, says as follows. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says the following was the practice in his household. Okay? Shel Beit Abba hayu korchim ptila al gabe egos umadlikin. That in my father's household, we would take a wick of an acceptable variety, wrap it around a large nut, for example, perhaps a walnut, okay, and we would light it. Katani mihat madlik. Nevertheless, that seems to imply madlikin, that one can light it. And there's an example of mixed items. Okay, a permissible wick with a non-permissible item. Okay? Amarle. Okay? Rava then responds back to Abaye, and he says to him, Adamit tivatli, if you're going to think you can answer me, Mida Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, from the example of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Sayinhu Mida Tanakama. See first if you can support your position from the statement of Tanakama. Ha lo kasha. Here, though, it does not have to be a problem. Ma'aser Rav. Okay? Why? Because we have an actual act. And if you can challenge the act, right, that gives you a more of a support. Mikol makom kasha. Nevertheless, okay, what they did in the house of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is still problematic. Mai lav lahadlik, wasn't it done? This wrapping of something around, let's say, the walnut, wasn't it done for the purpose of lighting them together? Lo, no, says the Gemara. Lahakfot. It was done to be able to provide the whatever the wick is onto something that would float on top of a viable fuel. Okay? And therefore, says the Gemara, im lahakfot, mai tama de tanakama. If that's the case, what's the reasoning then of Tanakama to say that this mixing of these items is forbidden? Kula Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. No, this entire discussion, okay, is really the basis for Rabban Shimon Gamliel. V'chasuri mixera v'hachi katani. And something is missing here in this episode, in this Braita. Namely, this is how we have to teach it. Karach davar shemadlikin bo. If we say wraps something which one is able to use as a wick or for kindling. Al gav davar she'ein madlikin bo. Around something that one cannot kindle with. Ein madlikin bo. We cannot kindle with it. We cannot light it. Right? Again, indicating that the combination is not permitted. B'med varim amurim. What are we talking about? Lahadlik, to kindle it, to light it. Aval lahakfot mutar, but to allow it to float, that is permitted. Sheraban Shimon ben Gamliel omer, that Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel is telling us, Shel Beit Abba hayu korchin ptila al gav egos, that in his father's household they would wrap an item, let's say, around the nut, around the walnut, say, and use it as a device for floating on top of the fuel. Amy, asks the Gemara, is that really the case? V'ha'amar Rav Brona amar Rav. But did not Rav Brona, in the name of Rav, okay, tell us the following? Okay, namely, chelev muhutach, if I have liquefied or molten fat, ukrave dagim shenimuchu, and the intestines, the interior of fish that has dissolved, Adam noten letocho shemen, one can add oil, presumably olive oil, to one of these two things, kol shahu, a certain amount, umadlik, and kindle it. Okay. Now, that would seem to imply, again, that mixed fuels seem to be permissible, right? So the Gemara answers, Hani mimshache be'enayu. that's only because these items, okay, the melted or liquefied fat or the dissolved fish insides are drawn on their own in their natural state towards the wick. V'hani lo mimshache be'enayim. And these others, okay, are not drawn in their natural state towards the wick. V'gazru ba'nan al chelev mehutach. And the rabbis made a decree regarding the liquefied fat or molten fat. Mishum chelev she'eno mechutach, lest one tried to use fat that's not liquefied. Va'al karvei dagim shenimuchu, and on the internal parts of fish that have dissolved. Mishum karvei dagim shelo numuchu, because of the internal parts of the fish that have not dissolved. So the Gemara suggests that as a question, V'ligzor nami chelev mechutach v'chavei dagim shenimuchu shenatan letochan shemen. Let us then make a decree in which we would take the liquefied fat or the dissolved fish intestines, internal, okay, and one to which one has added oil, okay, right, and make a decree against that, mishum chelev mehutach, lest one do it with undissolved oil, v'karvei dagim shenimuchu shelo natan letochan shemen, that these same items, lest one do it with these same items alone without adding any oil to it. So the Gemara says, no, we're not going to do that because he gufa gezerah, because this in and of itself is already a decree. Va'anan nikum v'nigzor gzerah l'gzerah, and should we come up and suddenly make a decree on another decree, that the rabbis were not prepared to do. Okay, going on. Now, as we continue with this discussion, we're going to see that ultimately it's going to lead us to the topic of Hanukkah. Okay? And this is where the famous place where on the next Amud is where Hanukkah is the only place it's discussed really in the Gemara. Okay? All right. Tani Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama is teaching another Braita. Tilot ushmanim, about these wicks and these fuels. She'amru chachamim ein madlikin bahem b'Shabbat, where the sages said we're not permitted to kindle or light on Shabbat. Ein madlikin bahem b'mikdash. We also don't light them in the temple precinct. Mishum shene'amar. Why? Because we have a site of pasuk that says, okay, for use in the menorah in particular, laha'alot ner tamid, right? That it should burn up or rise up as an eternal kind of ongoing light. Hu tanila, he taught it, v'hu amarla, right? And he explained it as follows. Kedei shetahei shalhevet ola me'aleha, in order that the flame will burn up and go up by itself, v'lo shetahei ola al yedei davar acher, and not that the flame increases or goes up by some other means. Now, since we're still talking about the wicks, okay, now used, and we made a reference to the Beis Hamikdash, we're going to see this another example of something that they used for wicks in the Beis Hamikdash, namely threads from the tattered garments of the Kohanim. Right? And that's what we're getting to now. Tnan, a Braita teaches, okay? Mibale michnesei Kohanim umehem, from the threads of the tattered garments, the trousers, so to speak, and the sash, okay, right, of the Kohanim, hayu mafki'im, right, that they would take them apart, umehen madlikim, they would use these threads as wicks for the places in the menorah. Right? But the Gemara is now going to say, wait a second, that was not a usual practice. Why? Simchat Beit HaShoeva Shani. No, says the Gemara, that was really only done for Simchat Beit HaShoeva, the water drawing festival, when they needed significant number of lights, and so they had additional lanterns that were put out, or they made additional bonfires. And in that case, then they would tend to use these threads from the leftover priestly clothing, right? And that was a unique situation. So you can't use that as a clear example, right? Continuing with the Gemara, Tashma, again, listen to the following Braita. The Tani Rabba Bar Matna, he teaches, Big Day Kahuna Shabalu, the clothing of the Kohens that became used up, Mafke'ino Tam, okay, Mehem Hayu Osim Tilod Lemikdash. Again, he says that you sort of tear them apart, okay, and into threads, and you use them for the wicks in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Gemara asks, Mai lav de klahayim? Isn't this then a problem of klahayim? Why? Because a number of the garments, particularly the trousers and the sash, were actually made of both linen and wool, and therefore the example of klahayim. And so the Gemara shows us that Rava Bar Matna perhaps answers, no, the boats. No, we're only talking about the specific linen garments only. That's what was used. Now, Amar, Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, Ptilot u'shmanim she'amru chachamim ein madlikin bahen b'Shabbat. Again, these wicks and fuels where the sages say we are not permitted to kindle, light them on Shabbat, ein madlikin bahem b'Chanukah. It says we cannot use them also, according to Rav Huna, this first opinion, for wicks and fuels for the Chanukah menorah. Right? Bein b'Shabbat, bein b'chol. Whether it's to light them on weekday or lighting it on Shabbos Chanukah. Amar Rava. Rava, my Tama, the Rav Huna. What was Rav Huna's view? Why did he say that? Kasavar kavta. Why? Because he's of the opinion that if the Chanukah menorah became extinguished, zakukla, when it requires it, one has to use it, right? Umutar lehishtamesh la'ora, and it's permitted to use its light. Okay? Rav Chisda. Now we're going to see a second opinion. Rav Chisda Amar madlikin behen b'chol, that we can use those items, right? These wicks and these fuels when we light the Chanukah menorah during the week, so to speak. Aval lo b'Shabbat, but not on Shabbos Chanukah. Why? Kasavar kavta, because he's of the view that if the Hanukkah menorah is extinguished and goes out, ein zakuk la. We don't need it. We're on the top now of Kaf Aleph Amud Beis, right? Umutar lehishtamesh ba'ora, and it's still permitted to use its light. Now, Amar Rabbi Zera, says Rabbi Zera, a third opinion. Amar Rav Matna, in the name of Rav Matna, va'amri la Amar Rabbi Zera Amar Rav. And some say it's Rav Zera in the name of Rav. Ptilot u'shmanim she'amru chachamim ein madlikin bahem b'Shabbat. These same wicks and fuels that the sages forbade using on Shabbos, okay, regarding the Chanukah menorah, madlikin bahen b'Chanukah, bein b'chol, bein b'Shabbat, regardless of if you're lighting the Chanukah menorah on a weekday or Shabbos. Right? Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, says Rabbi Yirmiyah, okay, my Tama de Rav, what is Rav's then rationale? Kasava, because he must be of the opinion, Kavta, if the Chanukah menorah was extinguished, Ein Zakukla, that is not necessary, right, to relight it, Va'asur lehishtamesh la'ora, and it's prohibited to benefit from its light. Now, going on, Amru HaRabbanan Kame de Abaye Mishmei de Rabbi Yirmiyah. They told this machloket and this position before Abaye, okay, in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah. Vilo kibla, and Abaye did not accept it. Ki ata Ravin, when Ravin came, Amru HaRabbanan Kame de Abaye Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan v'kibla. This time, when Ravin came and told the same lesson, right, he said it before Abaye in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and Abaye accepted it. Amar, says the Gemara, Izakai Gamirte. Okay, if I was worthy of learning it, Lishma'ate me'ikara. I should have learned it when in my youth, when I was younger. Vaha Gamra. But here he learned it, says the Gemara. Nafkamina. What's the difference? The Girsa Diyana Kuta. Namely, it was something learned in one's youth is easier to remember. That's the point. Now, since we talked about this issue of the Chanukah menorah becoming extinguished and the question of having to relight it, right? We're going to proceed, and that's going to lead us into more discussion on Chanukah. The Kavta, it was extinguished. Ein Zakukla, we said if one doesn't need it, right? Or minhu, but we'll challenge this with the following. Namely, we have a Braita that teaches mitzvata shetishka hachama ad shetichle regel min hashuk. Okay, that the mitzvah of lighting the menorah begins once the time of sunset until the time that there are no longer any passers-by in the marketplace. What do we mean by that? Love, the ikavta hadar madlikla. Does this not mean that if it's extinguished, we have to go back and light it again? No, says the Gemara. The ilo adlik, okay, it means that if one has not yet lit the menorah, madlik, one should then light it. Ve'inami, and if that's the case, le shi'ura, maybe it also is actually referring to the shiur, to the measurement. Namely, how much time we have to allow for the light to burn in the Chanukah menorah, at least a half an hour. Now, again, what about the fact, said the Braita earlier, Ad shetichle regel min hashuk, until there finishes up passers-by in the marketplace. Va'ad kama, and how long might that be? Amar Rava bar Barchana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. He said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Ad dekalya rigla de tarmudai, until we finish up seeing the individuals, the passers-by of the Palmyrians, of the workers. In other words, there were workers who at the end of the day would take branches and they would sell the branches to people and use that money to buy kindling wood. Okay, and so therefore they would stay late after their normal working hours to be able to sell these branches and have a fire in their homes. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, a new Braita. Mitzvat Chanukah, Ner Ish Ubeito. The mitzvah of Chanukah is one candle for a person, a man, and his household, implying at least his wife, right? V'hamahadrin, and those who are more capable in terms of wanting to fulfill the mitzvah in a more zealous manner, right? More beautiful manner. Ner lekol echad ve'echad, one candle for each person. V'hamahadrin min hamahadrin, and those who want to be even more zealous and beautifying their mitzvah. Beit Shammai omrim Yom Rishon Madlik Shmona. Academy of Beit Shammai, School of Beit Shammai says on the first day you light 8. Mikan ve'elech pochet v'holech. And from then on, you continue to reduce the amount. Ubeit Hillel omrim, and the school of Hillel says, Yom Rishon Madlik Echat. First day we light one candle. Mikan ve'elech mosif. And from here we then begin to add 1, 2, 3, etc. V'holech, and continue. Amar Ula. So Ula is now going to tell us, Plige ba trei emurai b'ma'arava. There was a machloket between two Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yossi bar Avin and Rabbi Yossi bar Zveda. Chad Amar, Ta'amad the Beit Shammai. One said that the reasoning of the Academy of Shammai, Keneged Yamim Hanichnasim, because of the incoming days. Ta'amad the Beit Hillel, Keneged Yamim Hayotzeim, because of the days that were exiting. Chad Amar, and the other one said, Ta'amad the Beit Shammai, Keneged Prei or Pare Echag, namely that Beit Shammai's reasoning was as a parallel to the oxen, to the bulls of Sukkot, where they started out with 13 and then went down to 12, 11, 10, etc. But Tama the Beit Hillel, and the rationale of Beit Hillel, the Ma'alim B'Kodesh Ve'ein Moridin, that we ascend in holiness and we do not descend. Amar Rava bar Barchana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. He said, Shnei Zekenim Hayu B'Tzidan. There were these two elders in the city of Tzidon. Echad Asaka Beit Shammai. One followed the practice of Beit Shammai. Ve'echad Asaka Divrei Beit Hillel. And another did according to the practice of Beit Hillel. Zenotain ta'am lidvarav keneged pare hachad. This one gave his rationale as compared to the bulls of Sukkot. V'zenotain ta'am lidvarav dema'alin b'kodesh ve'ein moridim. and the other gave the rationale that we ascend in holiness and we do not descend. A new Braita, now still continuing on the topic of Chanukah. Tanu Rabbanan, near Chanukah, mitzvah lahanicha al petach beito mibachutz. A candle, remember, for Chanukah, the mitzvah is to place it by the opening of one's house outside. We know that would apply to a spot opposite the mezuzah in the doorway. Right? Im hayadar ba'aliyah, if he lived on the second floor, right? Manicha bechalon hasmucha l'reshut harabim. He would put it in a window, okay, close to the public thoroughfare. Ubishat hasakana manicha al shulchano vidyo. And in the times of danger, namely persecution, they could put it simply on their table, and that would be enough. So particularly halachically, so that other family members would at least be able to see it. Okay? Amar Rava, says Rava, tzrich ner acheret lehishtamesh le'ora. According to Rava, we need another candle in order to use it to gain the light, right? To light it actually. That's where we get the shamash idea. V'ika medura lo tzarich. And if one has a bonfire nearby, there's no need for this extra candle. V'i adam chashuv hu, and if he's an important person, afal gav de'ika medura, even though there may be a larger fire, okay, tzrich ner acheret, he still is required an additional candle. Okay, and now we get to the definition, right? Ma'i Chanukah, what is Chanukah? The Tanu Rabbanan, as the rabbis taught, B'kaf Hei B'Kislev, Yomei de Chanukah, Tamna Inu. On the 25th day of Kislev, the days of Chanukah are 8. Delo lemisped bahom, that we don't eulogize on them. Delo lehit anot bahen, we don't fast on them. Shenichnesu Yevanim lehechal, that when the Greeks entered the hechal, tim'u kol hashmanim shebehechal, they rendered impure all of the fuels, the oils in the hechal. And when the Hasmonean household overcame them and won, excuse me, Badku v'lo matzu elapach echad shel shemen. They searched and they only found a single jar of oil, shahaya munach b'chotmo shel kohen gadol, that had the seal of the high priest on it. V'lo haya bo ela lahadlik yom echad. And there was really only enough oil, it would appear, to last to light for a single day. Ne'asa bo nes, a miracle occurred, v'hidliku mimeno shmona yamin, and it was enough to light and kindle for 8 days. The Shana Acheret, the following year, Kava'um va'asaum yamim tovim b'halel v'hodah. They made these days of rejoicing, in other words, holidays, with Hallel, recitation of praise and acknowledgement of Hashem. Tnan Hatam, and it was taught there also. Another issue. Okay? Excuse me. Gats hayotze mitachet hapatish. If a spark escapes from a hammer, v'yatza v'hezik, and it goes and causes damage, the person who hammered chayav is chayav. Gamal sheta'un pashtan, okay, a camel that is carrying a load of flax, v'hu over b'reshut harabim, and it's traveling in the public domain. V'nichnesa pishtano L'tocha chanut, and the ends of the flax are so long that they actually enter into the stalls, into the shops. V'dalka b'neiro shel chenvani, and they ignite, okay, are ignited by the lamp of the storekeeper. Vahidlik et habira, and it burns up the entire bundle of flax, okay, the entire area there, right? The flax, the store, etc. Baal Gamal Chayav. The owner of the camel is Chayav. However, it's the Braita. Hiniach chenvani et neiro mibachutz. Right? If the shopkeeper had put his lamp outside, okay, chenvani chayav, then the storekeeper is chayav. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, says Rabbi Yehuda, there is an understanding here though. B'ner Chanukah, if we're talking about him putting the Hanukkah candle light out, patur, then he would be exempt. Amar Ravina, Mishum de Rava. Says Ravina in the name of Rava, Zot Omeret, Ner Chanukah, Mitzvah lahanicha betoch asara, that the Ner Chanukah, the lamp or the candle of Chanukah, the mitzvah is to put it within 10 tfachim of the doorway. Because if you think it's to go higher than 10 tfachim, it might lead us to say that perhaps he has to put it high enough so that he's taller than the camel and the rider of the camel. V'dilma I mitracha le tuba. And thus, if we demand so much more effort from him, ate le'imnu'e mi mitzvah, it might lead him from whatsoever, from refraining to do the mitzvah at all. And so therefore, that answers that issue of how high the menorah must be, or the light must be. We're going to stop right there. And I'm going to unmute you, Ted, if you have any questions.
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Harvey?
I always heard that when the lights are burning, Cheryl always told me it was the wife who doesn't have to do any work. But it includes the men also?
Right. Right. Uh-huh. That really, there should not be any real work being done while the candles are lit. So ideally, it would mean should perhaps get the meal prepared in advance, light candles, and then sit down and eat.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Harvey, okay?
I'm good.
Very good. Thank you guys for participating today.
Thank
And,
you.
No, thank
just
you
remind
for
you,
giving it.
okay,
Thank you.
that there will not be,
What are we doing tomorrow?
tomorrow, we are actually ahead. Okay?
Okay.
So if you've been keeping up with me right now, you actually have covered Kaf, which is Friday, and Saturday, Shabbos, which is Kaf Aleph.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Okay, wanted to make
Okay.
sure.
So we will then pick up on Sunday with Sunday's stuff.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Take
Night
care.
all.
Bye.
Okay. Now, end the meeting.